What I want to do just to start off with is I just want you to take in this section here of river, and just on knowing nothing, if you had to cross this river, kind of pick your spot of where you would go. Just take a couple of seconds. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so what we'll do is we'll go through this process and see if it stays the same. So one of the things on our races that's a common theme outside of the desert is there's rivers. And rivers can be uncontrollable. If it rains up in that valley or snows heavy and then melts, these rivers can pick up in no time without any warning. And as you've noticed, as we've come down, the river's been very different. There's been bits where it's been splayed out and flat. There's been bits like this where it's chunked into a faster flow. And then there's, well, the reason why I picked this bit as well is because we can see these S-bends up here, and it'll be a good example of where we would pick. Now normally we're not going to get you to cross a river on anything that we think is remotely dangerous, okay? But sometimes, like especially in our jungle race and highland race, rivers run before our team can get there, and they can also happen here. If you're up high and it rains, rivers can just form out of nowhere. So you just need to be able to assess the risk and make your own decision of whether you're going to pass at that point, wait, or pick another spot, all right? So the one word I want you to remember is Fred. It's really handy when someone here is called Fred, but for now, we're just going to remember Fred. When we're crossing a river, obviously the point is to try and get to the other sides without dying. That's aim number one. And most deaths in water come from someone falling, moving downstream and not having an exit plan, or getting stuck. That happens quite a lot in countries like Western countries where there might be unsuspected things like shopping trolleys and all things like that. So people fall, they get stuck, they can't get up, and then they go that way. Or they've been a bit too brave or a bit too silly, and they've been swept and not had a plan to get out of the river. So if we go through a procedure called Fred's, we can start looking at the river and assessing it. So there's two things in each letter. So F is flow and feet. Now a quick river doesn't necessarily mean that it's a dangerous river. You can have shallow rivers that are quite quick. Sometimes rivers can look quicker than they actually are. A lot of these white caps here are because they're coming off of rocks. That might suggest that it's a bit shallow there, where some people might look at that and think that's going really quick. But it's the first thing we look at when we come to cross a river that's easy to assess is the flow rate. We can see down there's a bit of white water. I probably wouldn't pick that as my first spot. Similarly, if we look up here, there's a lot of white water there, but doesn't necessarily mean it's dangerous. That could be incredibly shallow, in which case we might be able to get through it. So flow we assess first, and then the second thing we assess is feet. Where our feet are going to be going is incredibly important because that's going to be the thing that keeps us stable. In a river like this, we can't see really what's at the bottom. It's silt lined, so we know that there's going to be some sand or some silt, and we know that there's going to be rocks. We can see them. So navigating across silt is going to be one thing, but if we've got rocks, especially slippy rocks like you get in like Scotland and things like that, it becomes a lot harder, and that's why a shallow river can be really dangerous, because if you've got a slippy surface underneath. So if we've assessed flow and where our feet are going to go, we move to R, which is react and respond, okay? I always put react in because I think it's always good to check in on yourself, because normally when we're coming to cross a river on a race, we might be in race mode, we might be in a kind of head down, tunnel vision mode where we think, actually, I just need to get across this river in the quickest time, and I angle at a point where I think is safest within my 5-meter radius. So just a quick stop and react to the river in front of you. Is this safe to cross right now, or does this seem a bit silly? Should I look for another place? Should I wait? Also, how am I going to react when I get into the water? This is going to be quite cold. If we were getting into something that was waist deep, how's that going to feel? If we was in like an Arctic country where it was going to be even colder, is that going to affect our breathing? And the second R is respond. If we fall, how are we going to respond? If we're in a group, have we got someone further upriver spotting? Have we got a throw line, that someone's going to throw? If we fall, how are we going to immediately respond to keep ourselves safe? Now, if you were to fall, the best thing to do is to go into a defensive swimming position, which is on your back with your arms out or arms into your chest, arms out normally, so your feet are defending you against anything you might fall into. So if you used to slip here and fall and your feet were out, they would be hitting the rocks first. One thing that's a consideration for us is our bags as well. If we fall on our back and we're moving and we get snagged onto a rock and we can't get out and our head's underwater, that's going to be a pretty challenging thing. So we're going to move our rucksacks onto one arm and just accept if we go and we can't keep it, you know, we're going to relax when we first fall. If we're just moving nice and slowly, that's fine. But if we're getting taken and we're getting whipped, we're just going to let that bag go because we need that arm. Okay? So flow, feet, react, respond. Next letter is E, entry, exit. So when we're looking at entering a river, we're going to look at the actual point that our feet get in. I'll do that in a minute. I'm going to pick a point to show you how we get in that isn't the smartest place, but it's just easier for me to show you. And exit. How would we exit if we were to fall? Now you can see the river over there goes in a big S. Normally we want to enter a river in the straight part of an S. If you imagine an S written like that, we want to enter in a straight bit, kind of like this. We don't want to go in on a curve. And the reason for that is if we were to fall, it's a higher likelihood that we're going to get spat out to a side bank. If we were to fall here, let's say, we've got a lot of long curves down this river where chances are we're going to get moved to the side of it. We're not going to just stay funneled. So ideally, I wouldn't cross here. I'd probably go further up, but we're going to just use this as an example, all right? We've got our entry point, which we're going to pick as the total part of the river, and our entry in, if we've got a big step down, and at the very least, we want a solid first step. If we're getting in on a rock and jumping in, like over here, for example, that's not going to be a great start. But if we can get in a place where we see it's shallow, there's one there and one there, at least we can have a little probe of the ground to see what's happening. Once we've established that, we've got the two Ds, which is depth and debris. All right, so here, we've been stood here, I haven't seen any trees go flying by. We're not in a river in Stoke, so no bicycles have gone flying by. But the one thing that can come off, you can see at the side here, nothing stopping a rock moving, or most likely here is whole grass tufts are going to just fall off. So we're just going to keep our eye out just for a minute or two to see if anything's going down. And then of course the depth. Depth is going to affect it. You can cross a river that's deep if it's moving slowly and all those other variables are fine, but it's that combination of flow, depth, no exit, poor entry, and no plan to escape that create a problem. Okay? So we go through our Fred procedure and we look now, has your position changed in the river that you picked in the beginning? Or are you just going to have a little look again, have a little assessment? Particularly think about your exit. If you were to fall and slip and move onto your back, where would you feel comfortable falling into? Yeah, that's a pretty good spot. It's pretty shallow in the middle there. But you can see in this river there's deep spots throughout most of it. The one thing we're not going to do as well is throw your bag. This happened on a expedition once. I took a load of young 16-year-old lads and one of them threw his bag across the river and then we didn't cross it. So don't do that, all right? Don't do that. Keep your bag with you if you can on the side, because if you don't feel comfortable, you can step back. So we're going to go down there, we're going to go down to this point and I'm going to get in the river just to show you the best way to cross. Just as an example, I'm going to use Ben. Okay, I want you to stand side on to me, like this. Okay, so what we want to do at all times is be in the strongest position. If we put ourselves in a weak position at any point, i.e. our feet slip or we put our body in a weak position, that's going to encourage the river to take us. Now if I push Ben like this, it doesn't take too much for me to move him. If you face me, Ben, and put some soft knees into it, Ben is now more stable in this position, okay? If he was to cross his feet, really weak, okay? So what we're going to do is crab walk, never crossing our feet. Facing upriver so we can check for debris and keeping a nice bent knee so we've got that soft position but we can brace against the water. If we've got more than one of us, we can actually, did anyone ever see the film Mighty Ducks? We can create a V position. All right, so if Ben was at the front, I would probably put Ben at the front if there was a group of us here. So Ben, you're facing the river right now. What we would do is we would link up like this, and then it would just take communication. Ben, there might be someone even the other side spotting who's behind him, and we're moving in unison. So it takes quite a bit of communication, but someone, typically Ben would shout step, and then we all at the same time, we're gonna go that way, Ben. Step, okay? And now we're a solid group. So if someone's weaker or smaller in the group, you can bring them with you, okay? Let's go down to the river down here and I'll just show you how we get in. We'll go down to this point here. Can someone bring some poles as well? Okay. So we're going to imagine, in this scenario, this is the point where we have to cross. All of the rest of this river is bad and this is the best decision we have, and we have to cross. There's also bearing in mind, you don't always have to cross, but we're going to go in our pretend world right now that we have to cross. So we're going to go through the Fred procedure, we're going to look at flow. It seems quite slow here in comparison to the rest of it. Foot-wise, I don't know what's in the middle, but we've got a sandbank at least that I can start and have a little probe. We're going to have a look at exits. Well, I've already checked in with myself on how I'm going to react, how I'm going to respond, who I'm with. I'm on my own. I'm looking at exits. There's a couple of rocks there that are probably going to hurt and tickle if I fall off them. And that's going to be a pretty bumpy section, but we're going to move into those curves. So ideally, I would be pretty nervous here if I was crossing, okay? This would be on my comfort scale, 10 being super dangerous. This would probably be about an 8 for me, okay? And then final thing, we're going to look at when we get in, we're going to go through where feet position is now as well. I can't see any debris. We're going to keep an eye out for that. And we're going to step in. So once we start stepping in, I'm expecting that there's going to be a drop off. But what I can do if I've got poles as well, is I can have a little probe, I can hear rocks. And this is a good example because it's moving really quick, but I'm not feeling any pressure right now. So I'm still quite comfortable. I'm checking my foot position to make sure it's solid. I mean, again, I've got that low position. I'm on rocks right now, I'm solid. I'm still on rocks, but now I'm getting deeper. I'm starting to just feel a little bit of push. Now, there's two options here. I can move diagonally forwards, and if I can still move forward, I know that I've still got a good, strong position. Or I can move diagonally with the flow, which will take a bit off of it. So I'm going to go one more time. This is going to start. My voice is going to change in a minute. All right. I'm now on soft sand. So I feel quite comfortable still. And if it does start to get strong, I get the odd little push, I can make a tripod. And right now that is the only tripod thing going on. All right. Everything else is the opposite. But I'm watching this back foot as I move. Still quite comfortable. As I step into that, I know I'm not going to be, so I'm not going to do it to prove a point. All right? Let's say now I'm starting to feel a bit uncomfortable. I'm going to come back same way. Your risk still stands until you get out the river. Now, if I had a throw line over here, and I had about 5 of us, I think we could get across that. I think that would be absolutely possible, because I think once we get past this section here, it's going to be quite slow. That flow rate's quite steady. It looks quite shallow, and we would get across. Knowing that if we had to exit, it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride, but we're probably going to get out at that bit. So if I had to, there was 5 of us, we were experienced, and there was a throw line, that would be okay. For you on your own in a race, no, it's not. But at least you can probe and test using that method wherever you are in the world at any time. Happy?
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Let me warm up now. We're going to do some running. Whose poles are these?
I was a bit nervous.